Trubisky for me, coach. What's the word, YouTube? It's your boy, Coach TDOT. And I'm back with another reaction video for y'all today, chat. So check it out, man. Y'all know we've been going ballistics all week, all month. Alright, talking about Magic, Bird, Cole. But the biggest debate in NBA history has always been LeBron versus Mike, man. Alright, now y'all know my opinion. I'm Mike all the way. Mike #1 on my list, chat. Alright, I was a LeBron fan back in the day. But as I wisened up and got older, I'm like, man, Mike is that nigga, man. Mike is him. He #1 on the mantle, then it's Bron, then Cole. Alright, so without further ado, we finna hop right into this video, man. LeBron versus Jordan. The GOAT comparison, man. Alright, let's get right into this thing, chat. Let's get it going. Make sure y'all spam that like button,
Jordan
man.
versus LeBron. LeBron.
Did you click the like button, my boy? Alright, good looks, G. I'll fucks with you. I'll fucks with you, my boy.
Jordan. It's a debate that has captured the public's attention for the last several years, especially after this moment in 2016, when LeBron James beat the Golden State Warriors to win the third championship of his career. In LeBron's own words,
that one right there made me the greatest player of all time. That's what I felt. I was like, that one right there made you the greatest player of all time.
But did it? Is everything since that moment simply icing on LeBron's cake? Or is LeBron destined to finish his career in Michael Jordan's shadow? We've all heard the arguments from LeBron supporters.
He's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster, he's more durable.
And from Jordan supporters.
Michael Jordan was merely 6-0 with 6 MVPs in the finals.
But the GOAT debate isn't as simple as the pundits make it seem. There are a number of factors relevant in determining the greatest basketball player of all time. In fact, I would say there are 5 things that really matter when determining the GOAT of any sport. These criteria are, in no particular order, accomplishments, longevity, winning, statistics, and what we'll refer to in this video as the eye test. And to be the GOAT, you don't need to be the best in any specific category, but you need to be pretty good across the board. So simply winning 7 championships, like Robert Horry did, isn't enough to get you into the conversation.
Man, Robert Horry. Man, that nigga. Man, if anybody ever talk about Robert Horry outside of the fact that he saved Kobe with that shot, what year was that? He hit that shot with the Lakers. What was that? 02? Oh, man, that's the only thing motherfuckers need to be mentioning Robert Horry about. If you ever mention Robert Horry and say something about 7 rings, I'm smacking you, G. I'm smacking you.
When we're finished with this video,
look at Robert
it'll be
Horry.
plainly obvious
Be bringing
that
him up and shit, talking about he got 7.
But before we get started, I want to clarify that this is not a comparison of legacies. It's about who was the better basketball player. If we were talking about legacies, Jordan's is nearly untouchable. Not only did he lead basketball to global popularity, he helped transform Nike into an empire, changed the way players played and how they dressed, and he even made it cool for guys to be bald. And while those things certainly contribute to MJ's iconic status, they don't make him a better player on the court. So let's evaluate the criteria that matter, and we'll start with individual accomplishments. Take a look. Jordan had more regular season MVPs.
Hold on, let's look at this chat. Okay, 5 versus 4 MVPs. Hey, he gonna talk about it.
Twice as many finals MVPs, 9 more scoring titles, and several more selections to the NBA's all-defensive team, including once being named Defensive Player of the Year. LeBron has more All-Star appearances, but that's largely due to his having played more seasons. In fact, when taking into account retirements and major injuries, Jordan essentially played 13 seasons compared to 17 seasons for LeBron, making Jordan's significant lead in accomplishments all the more impressive. And that's to say nothing of MJ's brilliant college career, which saw him twice named All-American and once awarded College Player of the Year, at a time when the country's best players actually went to college. So regardless of whether you're a LeBron fan or MJ fan, you have to give the accomplishments checkmark to Jordan. The second criteria in our GOAT analysis is longevity. And this one is also a no-brainer, but this time in favor of LeBron. Not only has LeBron played more seasons in the league, but he's had a longer peak than Jordan. Jordan's peak lasted about 10 years, whereas LeBron's peak has lasted 16 years and is still going. and he's been incredibly durable during that time, missing significant time to injury only in 2019. That said, the claim that LeBron has been much more durable than Michael has been a bit overblown. Consider that Jordan played in at least 80 regular season games 11 times in his career, including all 82 games an incredible 9 times.
What? Chad! Mike got it going back in the... Mike had 9 seasons where he played all 82, man. Mike, that's real crackhead energy right there, G. 9 times, though, Chad. That shit crazy, G. I did not know that, folks. That's some crackhead shit, folks.
Compare that to
Mike was
LeBron,
off
who
the
played in at least 80 regular
cigars
season
and that
games
whiskey,
just twice,
getting it going.
and all 82 games just once. So both LeBron and Jordan get high marks for their durability. But durability aside, the bottom line is that LeBron has sustained his level of excellence for a much longer period of time than Jordan, which puts the longevity checkmark squarely in LeBron's corner.
Brian got him 8-9
That brings
times,
us to the third
folks.
GOAT criteria: winning. As we all know, Jordan won 6 championships. LeBron has won 3. Jordan is 6-0 in the NBA Finals. LeBron is 3-6. Yes, LeBron has made the finals 9 times compared to only 6 times for Jordan.
Actually,
but let's not pretend that making the finals is the same thing, or even close to the same thing, as winning a title. Take a prime example from another sport, the Buffalo Bills. They're the only team in NFL history to appear in 4 consecutive Super Bowls. But is there a single player or fan of that team that wouldn't trade all 4 of those appearances for just 1 Super Bowl win? Frankly, talk to any fan whose team lost the season's final game and ask them how they felt afterward. Almost universally, their feelings are of sadness, anger, and disappointment. And that's just the fans. For players, those feelings are only magnified. Listen to Charles Barkley talk about losing in the NBA Finals.
And I was just in shock when it was over because I was frustrated because I couldn't wheel my team past Michael and the Bulls. And first of all, I don't think I've ever gotten over it, number one. But that was traumatic, and it's painful.
So we...
Hey, Mike got niggas still thinking about what happened in 1993, Chad. Nigga, it's 2025, Charles. Nigga still got you thinking about that shit. Oh, nah, G. Mike still hunting niggas, G. Chuck. I know you ain't... He talking about that shit was traumatic, G. That shit had to really mess with him, G. Think about it.
We can all stop with this false equivalence between winning the championship and finishing runner-up. In the words of Herm Edwards,
still thinking about that shit.
You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game.
Now back to Jordan and LeBron. As mentioned, on basketball's biggest stage, the NBA Finals, Jordan was 6-0. LeBron was 3-6. And frankly, that doesn't even show how lopsided their records really are. In terms of individual finals games, Jordan was 24-11. LeBron is 18-31. And that's because in 4 of his 6 finals losses, LeBron's team hasn't even been competitive. Twice he got swept, and 2 other times he lost 4 games to 1. That includes being on the wrong side of the 2 most lopsided finals by margin of loss in NBA history. Of course, LeBron fans will tell you that the only reason for LeBron's poor finals record is that his competition was so tough. Ironically, some of these same fans criticized Jordan for losing early in his career to a Celtics team stacked with 5 Hall of Famers, and they conveniently gloss over the fact that LeBron reached the finals so many times in part because the competition in his own conference was so weak. During the vast majority of his career, LeBron played in what many dubbed the Leastern Conference because the East was so much weaker than the West. On the other hand, during Jordan's playing days, the East was generally considered the stronger conference, as Jordan had to battle through hard-fought rivalries against the Bad Boy Pistons, Patrick Ewing's Knicks, the Shaq Penny-led Magic, and Reggie Miller's Pacers. That said, if you want to blame LeBron's failure in the finals on the level of his competition, I won't argue with you. But let's also not blow it out of proportion. If you look at the average number of wins of their finals opponents, you'll see that LeBron's finals opponents averaged 60.8 wins per season, whereas Jordan's finals opponents averaged 61.2 wins per season. So as it turns out, both players face stiff competition in the finals.
Tough competition.
But a big reason we don't hold the 93 Suns, the 96 Sonics, or the 98 Jazz in the same regard as some of LeBron's finals opponents is because, unlike LeBron's adversaries, Jordan's opponents never actually won the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Which goes to my original point, that the difference between winning the title and finishing runner-up is huge. And the reason those teams never won the title?
That makes a big difference. The reason we don't talk about that Sonics team, the reason we don't talk about that Suns and Jack, them niggas ain't win shit, Jack. The fuck we ain't talking about? The Warriors smacked Bron ass 3 times. Or was it twice? I don't know. I know they beat them 2 or more times, man. The Spurs beat them twice. So that's why them teams is great, because they fucking won. Come on, man. You feel me? So them teams that Mike was playing was definitely raw as hell. They was having 60+ win seasons, man. It's just Mike was getting their ass up out of there. You feel me? Mike was just that raw chat. I'm trying to tell y'all, folks. Like, go.
This guy.
Getting their ass straight up out of there, man.
Trying to say that Jordan's opponents
still
were as
got
good as
Charles
the Warriors
thinking about that
teams
shit
that LeBron
today.
faced 4 times in the finals.
That's how bad it was.
The truth is that
for
Jordan
niggas back
never
then,
played
man.
a juggernaut quite like that. But there's a pretty good reason for that. Jordan's Bulls were the juggernaut. They were the team winning 70+ games. They were the team with the target on their back every year. And as the Warriors showed us, that's not an easy place to be. As great as the Warriors were, they were never able to string together 3 consecutive championships.
Nope.
Jordan's Bulls did it twice. So what's the greater achievement? Beating the juggernaut or being the juggernaut?
Being it.
Or to be more specific, beating the juggernaut 1 time out of the 4 times you faced them?
I knew it. I knew it. It was 3.
Beating the juggernaut 1 time out of the 4 times you faced them?
Yep. Beat them in 2015, 17, 18 on G. They beat them 3. Come on, G. Come on. What we talking about?
The juggernaut year after year after year.
Mike was getting it going in the 90s. Niggas couldn't even. And I just saw a video of fucking Tim Hardaway talking about niggas used to be scared. Like, they'd have a great season. Once they got to the playoffs, niggas got scared because they knew they had to see Mike, G. That's how much Mike used to be on niggas. They would have a great season. But y'all know damn well once y'all get to the end, y'all gonna have to see Black Jesus, folks. And it was over with from there. It was cut.
After year. There's no doubt that LeBron's victory over the 73-win Warriors was the highlight of his career. But it's not the first time that an underdog has won the championship. And there actually have been much bigger underdogs who ended up winning the title. But how many times have we seen a player lead his team to 6 championships in 8 years? Prior to Jordan's Bulls, only Bill Russell's Celtics ever accomplished that feat in the NBA, when they incredibly won 11 championships in 13 seasons.
Oh, hell no, G. Chad, I'm sorry if I keep stopping, but that's some... I ain't even gonna go in on them, because that's back in the 60s and shit. The NBA wasn't even nothing back then, so I ain't even gonna go in on them.
Back
but
then, there was an average of less than 10 teams in the league, and only a couple rounds of playoffs.
Who the hell was Bill Russell playing, man?
And no player, not even Bill Russell, ever had a run of winning 25 of 26 playoff series, as Michael Jordan did. And Michael's pattern of winning goes beyond the NBA. Let's not forget that Jordan has never won anything but gold in the Olympics, and he also earned an NCAA championship, in which he hit the first of 2 iconic championship-winning shots in his career. All that is to say, when it comes to winning, the checkmark clearly goes to Jordan.
It's Mike, folks.
On to the 4th GOAT criteria, statistics. This one is a bit more complicated. I mean, how do you statistically evaluate 2 players who played in different eras under different rules at different positions?
Totally different games.
One way of doing it is to simply look at the 8 traditional statistics of basketball. Points, assists, rebounds, steals, blocks, field goal percentage, free throw percentage, and turnovers. And we'll focus on per-game stats rather than cumulative stats, since cumulative stats, such as total career points and total career assists, really speak to longevity, which is already its own category of the GOAT analysis. Per-game stats, on the other hand, is more of an apples-to-apples comparison. So looking at the 8 traditional stats, we see that Jordan leads LeBron in 5 of them: points per game, steals per game, blocks per game, free throw percentage, and fewer turnovers.
Yeah.
LeBron leads in the other three: assists per game, rebounds per game, and field goal percentage. But that's a pretty simplistic way of looking at statistics. What if we instead turn to analytics? Probably the most well-known analytic stat is player efficiency rating, or PER for short. This metric was created by respected basketball analyst John Hollinger to give an overall rating to a player's performance based on traditional stats like the ones we just mentioned. Jordan has led the league in PER 7 times, LeBron 6 times. Jordan has finished top 3 in PER 10 times, LeBron 9 times. In fact, Jordan has the highest career PER in both the regular season and the playoffs.
Damn.
Another popular analytics stat is win shares. Jordan has led the league in win shares 8 times, LeBron 5 times. Jordan has finished top 3 in win shares 11 times, LeBron 6 times. And when it comes to win shares per 48 minutes, Jordan has the highest career rating in both the regular season and the playoffs. What about box plus minus? Until recently, LeBron was actually ahead of Jordan in career box plus minus. But after the 2017 season gave Russell Westbrook the greatest single-season box plus minus in history by a wide margin, the architect of box plus minus realized that the stat was fundamentally flawed. So he made some changes to improve its formula. As a result, Michael Jordan now has the highest career box plus minus in both the regular season and the playoffs. And lastly, what about value over replacement player, which on its face seems to favor LeBron James? Well, value over replacement player is a cumulative stat, and as previously noted, cumulative stats speak more to longevity than they do game-to-game dominance. That said, according to value over replacement player, Jordan ultimately ranks as the best ever across the board. Before we move on from analytics, I want to mention a lesser-known stat called game score. Another every 5 of the best single-game performances over the last 4 decades has been by MJ. That includes the highest game score of all time for Jordan's decades. Nearly 1 out of every 5 of the best, 19 of them belong to Michael Jordan. The 100 highest game scores ever recorded, incredibly 19 of them belong to Michael Jordan.
Damn.
In other words, nearly 1 out of every 5 of the best single-game performances over the last 4 decades has been by MJ.
Yeah.
That includes the highest game score of all time for Jordan's 69.18 rebound masterpiece. Comparatively, LeBron has had only 3 of the top 100 game scores. When discussing the GOAT, Nick Wright is fond of asking this question.
The aliens come down. You have 1 game to save humanity. Who's your first pick in the history of the world?
Well, Nick, I think we have our answer. Now that I've finished drowning you in numbers, let's be real. Hardly anyone watching this video knows how to calculate PER, win shares, box plus minus, value over replacement player, or game score. And why should you? This is basketball, not Goodwill Hunting. So let's go back to the traditional stats that we all know and understand. But this time, let's add context to them. What do I mean by context? Well, some positions are simply better than others at racking up certain stats. Let's take rebounding as an example. In a vacuum, if we simply compare the number of rebounds per game of Brook Lopez and Jason Kidd, we might think that Lopez was the better rebounder. The truth is, relative to their positions, Lopez is statistically one of the worst rebounding centers in NBA history, whereas Kidd is statistically one of the best rebounding guards in NBA history. But even a poor rebounding center can grab more rebounds than a great rebounding guard solely by virtue of their roles on the court. So it makes sense that, to understand the context of a player's stats, we should compare them to the respective positions that they played. When comparing LeBron James to the other small forwards who have played at least 500 NBA games, this is where he ranks. Overall, that's pretty impressive. Now let's see how Jordan compares to all shooting guards who have played at least 500 NBA games. As good as LeBron is.
Hell no, fool. Mike had the top 3 in all them shits, man. Hey, G, I'm telling y'all, Chad, Mike was like that. Like, bro, man.
As compared to other small forwards,
Mike got Bron on
level
the
when
statistics
compared to
side
other
too,
shooting
Chad.
guards. He's darn near the top of every major statistical category, and there isn't a single category where LeBron is better than MJ relative to his position, other than assists. So to sum up statistics, whether comparing traditional stats or analytics, And especially when judging these players in the context of the positions they played, Jordan has a noticeable edge over LeBron. As such, we have to give the checkmark to Jordan. And that takes us to the last category in our GOAT analysis, the eye test. And to be clear, by eye test, I don't mean which of these players is bigger, faster, or jumps higher. None of that is relevant unless we're having a track and field competition. And frankly, if physical measurables mattered, then George Murasan would be in the GOAT conversation. No, what I mean by the eye test is, if you sat an average basketball fan in front of a TV to watch a player in action, what would he notice that the player is and is not great at? Thankfully, I happen to be an average basketball fan, and I've had the privilege of watching both LeBron and Jordan during their playing days. So unlike a lot of my fellow YouTubers, I haven't merely relied on highlight videos. Here's what my eyes told me when I saw Michael Jordan play, particularly during his playing days with the Chicago Bulls. He was the best offensive player in the game. He was arguably the best defensive player in the game. He had the best mid-range game. He was the best finisher at the rim. He had the best post-up game, which is incredible considering most players who dominated the post were big men.
Chad, that's why we out here niggas from the old school talk about Mike. They make Mike sound like he ain't do nothing wrong. Shorty, Mike had it all. It wasn't nothing Mike couldn't do, Chad. And this is what he's saying. Like, the only thing Mike really probably couldn't do was shoot the three ball like that. And his handle wasn't, you feel me, he wasn't no Jamal Crawford, Kyrie shit. But Mike still had them motherfuckers. Don't get it twisted. Y'all see these videos, he's still yanking him crossing. It may not look like Kyrie shit, but he still had it. Now, LeBron, like, when you watch LeBron, it just look like he bigger, stronger, faster than everybody, so he just get to where he had. Mike had that ill chat with everything. Fucking post-up game, midi, get to that bye, he was dunking motherfuckers. He had the everything, G. Layup package was crazy back then. Come on, G. Mike passed the eye test too, man.
Widely considered the most clutch player in the game.
And he was
regarded
clutch.
by opponents as the fiercest competitor on the court. He was regarded by teammates as the hardest worker in practice.
Man,
and when all was said and done, amongst the other stars of his generation, he was the greatest winner. Now, when you're playing against the elite of the elite athletes of the world, to be the best at any one of those things is pretty remarkable. But to be the best at all of them, I tell you, it's impossible, but for the fact that we saw Michael Jordan do it. And when it comes to the GOAT debate, that's the biggest hurdle facing LeBron. He's basically being compared to a guy who was great at everything and practically had no weaknesses. Seriously, judging by the eye test, what's the worst thing we could say about Michael Jordan's game? Probably that he wasn't a very good three-point shooter.
What'd I say?
Jordan shot 33% from beyond the arc in an era when the average player also shot 33%.
And that wasn't bad.
So when it came to three-point shooting, he wasn't good, he wasn't bad, he was just average. But remember that Michael played in an age when the three-point shot wasn't a big part of the game. During Jordan's years, teams averaged only 9.5 three-point attempts per game, and Michael himself attempted less than 2 threes per game. And if being an average three-point shooter is a weakness of Michael's game, well, then we also have to call it a weakness of LeBron's game. The difference is that LeBron plays in an era where the three-point shot is a huge part of the game. During the years in which LeBron played, teams attempted on average over 21 threes per game, and LeBron himself averaged 4.3 three-point attempts per game, or 2.5 times as many as Jordan. Despite the increased emphasis on threes, LeBron's career shooting percentage from beyond the arc is only a hair better than Jordan, at 34%.
Wow!
And it's actually slightly below his peers, who averaged 35% from three during his era. But to reiterate, being an average three-point shooter was by far the worst part of MJ's game. For LeBron, it's not even close. LeBron, in fact, has 4 major weaknesses as a basketball player, each of which is readily apparent to anyone who has actually watched him play. First, he's not a good free throw shooter.
Oh, hell no, Brian. Brian, fuck. I know damn well you ain't just airball that bitch, G. Brian!
And play. First, he's not a good free throw shooter. For his career, LeBron has shot around 73.5% from the free throw line, which is pretty poor for a player who handles the ball as much as he does. In fact, many analysts point out that at the end of games, LeBron shies away from driving to the basket because he's afraid of being sent to the line.
Remember that, man. Brian
I don't know whether that's true, but what I do
know
is that the odds of LeBron hitting 2 consecutive free throws is statistically not much better than a coin flip. Jordan, on the other hand, shot a solid 83.5% from the free throw line during his career, and MJ never shied away from contact at the end of games.
Mike was getting to that.
LeBron's second weakness is that he's an inconsistent defender. Sure, he's had some years where he was elite defensively, which is evidenced by his numerous selections to the NBA's all-defensive team, but he's also had several years where he's practically been a liability on the defensive end.
Oh, Brian, come on,
man. Several years where he's
practically
been a liability on.
And this right here, G, look at Brian. He basically just started wiping his jersey while bro's still going up to dunk. Mike and Kobe would never, bro.
Defensive end.
That's just
MJ,
you know, that's
during
a fact.
His Bulls days was a consistently elite defender. In fact, Jordan is the only player to rank in the top 5 amongst all guards in both steals per game and blocks per game for his career. Additionally, Michael led his position in defensive win shares practically every year that he played for the Bulls, an incredible 10 times. LeBron, comparatively, has led his position in defensive win shares on just 4 occasions, and in 5 of his last 7 seasons, he didn't even crack the top 10 at his position in defensive win shares.
Come on, gang!
Now,
come on, gang! That's just no effort right there, man. Children, do not ever do that. I swear, if you on my team and you ever do some shit like this, G, take my jersey off and go sit in the stands, bro. You not getting away with this shit on nobody's team, kid. So I'm every kid watching this. Look at this.
On just 4 occasions.
If you a hooper and you ever do some shit like this on my team or a coach, your ass getting subbed out. Get off my bench. That's unacceptable, chat. I don't care who you are, who your parents are. Your ass getting subbed out. Get out, give me my jersey, get off my bench, man. You just let this nigga drive all the way to the basket. Didn't even think to even step over. Look.
He didn't even crack the top 10 at his position in defensive win shares. Now, some will excuse LeBron's recent fall-off on the defensive end as a byproduct of his resting on defense so that he can have more energy on offense. And we can debate the merits of that strategy. But resting on defense is not something Michael Jordan was ever accused of doing.
He ain't do that, G. He ain't take no
plays off. Even as a 40-year-old, he was busting his tail on the defensive end.
Yeah, shit.
But what about the notion that LeBron's been the more versatile defender? LeBron supporters will argue that he can guard positions 1 through 5 on the court, such as when he guarded Derrick Rose for stretches in the 2011 playoffs. But LeBron's guarding the opposing team's point guard or center isn't something that happens very often. In fact, during his career, LeBron has spent less than 5% of his total minutes guarding the opposing players 1 or 5. So the versatility argument is highly exaggerated. And look, when it comes to versatility, Hometown Buffet may have a more versatile menu than Spago. That doesn't make it a better restaurant. LeBron's third weakness is that he's not a very good shooter. And this is a pretty significant flaw for someone claiming to be the GOAT. I mean, shooting the ball is the quintessential skill in the game of basketball.
It is.
It's the part of the game that everyone practices, whether on the playground, at the YMCA, or in the NBA.
That's true.
Now, some people will contend that LeBron is actually a better shooter than Jordan because he has a better career field goal percentage. And yes, LeBron's career field goal percentage is 50.4% compared to Jordan's 49.7%. But recall what I said about placing stats into proper context. To help us understand context when it comes to shooting, allow me to introduce DeAndre Jordan and Tyson Chandler. We all know that DeAndre and Tyson were great rebounders and defenders, but what if I told you that they were also 2 of the greatest shooters of all time? That would be certifiably crazy. Yet if you look at all the shooting metrics, field goal percentage, effective field goal percentage, true shooting percentage, both of these guys rank near the top in NBA history. Of course, there's an obvious reason for that. As we all know, both DeAndre Jordan and Tyson Chandler take a lot of their shot attempts on dunks, layups, and putbacks, which are extremely high percentage shots. Well, guess what? So does LeBron James. In fact, every single year of his career, the shot that LeBron James has taken the most has been within 0 to 3 feet from the basket. In other words, dunks, layups, and putbacks. More than 1 of every 3 of LeBron's shots has been within this point-blank range, which is aided by his playing in an era where it's been relatively easy to get to the rim, particularly when compared to the physical era in which Jordan played. And just like every other player, LeBron is really effective from 0 to 3 feet, hitting over 73% of these shots.
Hey!
But how does LeBron fare from outside this range? According to basketballreference.com, LeBron's shooting percentage from outside 3 feet is 37.5%. It's even poorer in the playoffs where he shoots 35.9%. And it gets even worse in close and late situations. In the last 2 minutes of games where the score is within 5 points, LeBron hits only 31.7% of his jumpers. Look, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that these numbers aren't very good, which is probably why in the 2013 finals, the Spurs' defensive strategy against the Heat was to basically dare LeBron James to shoot. And keep in mind, this was against LeBron in his prime. Can you imagine an opposing coach using a similar strategy against MJ? Now, LeBron actually credits the Spurs for forcing him to work on his jump shot, but it's not as if his results have gotten much better since then. Here's LeBron's shooting percentage from outside 3 feet over the last 6 years.
Better, G.
Yikes. Well, I'll give him this, he is consistent. For comparison, consider that in the last year of Michael Jordan's career, as an aging player on the Washington Wizards, Jordan shot close to 42% from outside 3 feet. While that's certainly not great, it means that even as a 40-year-old shell of his former self, Jordan was still a better shooter, a far better shooter than LeBron James.
Because it's like, now at this point, chat, LeBron then, been in the league, 22 years. You know, by like towards the end of your career, like Mike, that's when niggas jump shots really start falling, chat. Y'all ever been at the YMCA, LA Fitness or something? And it's that one old nigga, G. It's the one old head. All he do is stand outside the three and just be shooting them up. But he be blinking. Everything he shoot be dropping. He got the behind the head shot or he got the Larry Bird shot. Either or he cash every time, chat. We all know that one old head. So I'm thinking like LeBron, as he get older, his shit gonna be blinking. Like he gonna be, you know? Man, LeBron shit is still the same, man. He's still just driving, dunking on motherfuckers. That's why. That's probably why he never developed the jump shot, because he could just get to the behind wheel. That's crazy, though, G. I'm thinking Bron's shot gonna develop as he get older, man. That's why when he's saying this, it's like starting to really click. But Mike always had it, Chad. He always had that motherfucker.
Basketball Reference doesn't have advanced shooting metrics from Michael's Bulls days, when he was a significantly more efficient scorer. But few would argue that Michael was anything but a lethal jump shooter when he was wearing red and black. When it comes to shooting, all of us can recall practicing shots on the blacktop, counting down 3, 2, 1 before launching a shot at the rim. Well, if you were pretending to be LeBron James, you'd brick almost 2/3 of the time. Actually, that's not entirely true. If you were playing against a countdown, it would be much, much worse.
Damn.
And that gets me to the last major weakness of LeBron's game. His performance, or more accurately, lack of performance, in the clutch.
Yeah.
Remember when people were praising LeBron for making a couple of buzzer beaters in the playoffs 2 years ago? They used these stats to claim that LeBron was better in the clutch than Jordan.
I remember this.
But look at these numbers carefully. What stands out to you? How about this? People were using a sample size of less than 1 shot per season to make the case that LeBron was more clutch than Jordan. That would be the equivalent of polling just 100 people in the country to try to predict the winner of the next presidential election. So let's use more telling stats, shall we? Here's a situation that's often used to determine a player's clutchness. 5 seconds to go in the fourth quarter or overtime, and your team needs a bucket to either win or tie the game. It answers the age-old question, who do you want taking the last shot with the game on the line? It turns out that in the regular season and playoffs combined, LeBron has taken 94 such shots. That's a pretty good sample size. And how many of those 94 shots has LeBron made? 19, for a shooting percentage of 20%.
Bron, G. And maybe Bron just don't got that clutch gene, because you do have to have a certain element of like mental and heart, like to have that clutch gene, chat. Mike just had it, folks. Mike and Kobe, like y'all gotta understand the pressure of a last second shot. And I'm not taking nothing from Mike, But Bron probably just didn't have that. That's not Bron's specialty. You feel me? So that clutch shit, I ain't gonna really put that into play when we talking about the GOAT, because you gotta have a different level of heart and mindset when it come to being a clutch player. Like, everybody just don't have it. That's just not something Bron has. But shit, that's slightly what give Mike the edge over Bron, G. Mike was in that clutch, G. Mike was coming through, G. Mike and Kobe was coming through in that clutch, man. We need a bucket. Fuck it. We know exactly who to go to. Mike gonna get it done, chat. It's just that simple, G. Mike gonna get it done for us, man. He gonna get that bucket.
Let me repeat that.
Look who they got.
20%.
On the screen.
Guys,
Black
that's
Mamba.
not bad in the clutch.
Black Jesus.
That's atrocious. Michael Jordan in the same situation shot roughly 50%. Yes, that's right. Jordan's performance under pressure was the same as it was throughout the rest of the game. And that, my friends, is the definition of clutch.
Hey, that's different.
So there you go. When it comes to the eye test, our eyes tell us that one player, Michael Jordan, is great at everything and has practically no weaknesses. And the other player, LeBron James, while also having a ton of strengths, has several obvious flaws to his game. And when all is said and done, after analyzing the 5 key factors of being the GOAT, Jordan gets 4 check marks to LeBron's 1, making this GOAT debate, well, not much of a debate at all. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that LeBron James is a bad player. He's a phenomenal player. Personally, I have him on basketball's Mount Rushmore, along with Jordan, Kareem, Wilt Chamberlain, and Bill Russell.
Hell, boy, your ass is tweaking, G. Hey, Chad, he capping now. This whole video just got discredited based off your motherfucking Mount Rushmore, G. I don't even want to watch no more, folks. Your Mount Rushmore bogus as hell, G. What? You got Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain, shorty? Man, if you don't grab Wilt face off of there and put Steph right there, it's either you gonna put Steph or Magic. Take Wilt and Bill with them there. No. Steph, Magic, for Wilt Chamberlain right here. For him. And I'm putting Shaq over Kareem, G. I understand Kareem was statistically better and all that, man. Shaq would have bust Kareem ass, man. Anybody that come in the comment section and say some crazy shit, bro, I'm frying your ass, G. Shaq would have bust Kareem ass.